Let's welcome back Pete Prisco here and Will Brinson going through the list. So Chargers, Pete, on top with 9 players. That is 3 more than any other team. You got the Cowboys, the Bucs, and the 49ers. They all have 6.
Yeah, and the Chargers are kind of in the role that the Rams were in a year ago. We're going to go get some veteran players and go for it. And that's what they're doing. They went out and got Khalil Mack, his big-time pass rusher. You add him to the other side of Joey Bosa. Now you have a formidable combination. Joey Bosa's best season came when he had help on the other side in a double-digit guy in Melvin Ingram. So now you get that pass rush going. They've improved against the run. They add a guy like J.C. Jackson, we talked about on the list, one of the top corners in this league. You really get better in the back end by adding a corner there. And their offensive line is going to be better, and they have a ton of talent, and they have a quarterback. Look, this is a team that is built to win. I thought they'd get to the playoffs last year. They had a chance, didn't do it at the Raiders, lost that game. But I think this year they're going to push for the division title.
I mean, all you had to do is tie, right?
Right.
Like, they just decided
well,
not to go ahead and do that.
That's a whole other story. We're going to get on Brendan Staley. He's got to start playing the game a little more conventionally. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. Will Brinson, what do you think about the Chargers with 9 players? Pete saying, look, they're trying to follow the path of the Rams and go all in.
I just can't stop laughing at the fact that we're talking about the Chargers, but meanwhile Ryan Wilson's in his house doing the lights out dance because he ain't got any power. Look, man, I love the Chargers have a great roster. You know, Amanda, I think we did the reason, like, how is this team going to screw up their chance to win the Super Bowl or go deep in the playoffs? Maybe it was a couple weeks ago, whatever it was. And I had to give 3 reasons why the Chargers wouldn't make a deep run. And like number 1 was because they're the Chargers. Like if you took this roster and these players with Herbert at 20, I'm fine with that. You know, Rashawn Slater maybe even too low at 60 the way he's been playing. Keenan Allen still elite. Mike Williams, as Pete said on the podcast, probably could have easily been honorable mention and maybe even snuck in on the back end of that top 100. This is a great roster. If they were a different team, if this is a different franchise, everyone would be totally on board at the idea that they could legitimately make a deep run. But it's the Chargers, and that's the one thing that gives you pause for concern. Plus, of course, the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Raiders. See 2 of those teams on there. The Broncos traded for Russell Wilson, create a problem for for anyone in that division. It's just going to be a tough division. But the Chargers, if they max out their upside with that roster and with these elite players and the guys that they brought in to try and make a push, certainly are a viable Super Bowl contender and have one of the best 5 rosters in football.
So they haven't been to the postseason since 2018. They have the most players in your top 100. And Will Brinson said, though, the number 1 reason they wouldn't make it to the Super Bowl is because they're the Chargers. Can they find success with this roster?
Yes, they can.
Or will they, I should say?
Yes,
of course,
they will.
Can.
They will. I'm not going to say they're going to win that division because I think that division is brutal, across the board. But I think on paper right now, they have as much talent as anybody in that division. Now, it all becomes, can they put it together? And last year was kind of a learning year for Brendan Staley. He has to learn how to coach, and you can't always go for it. And I'm critical of that. And I know Brinson pushes back on me all the time as the old man. But there are ways to play the game and take into account game flow. I get it being aggressive. I get the analytics. I like it being aggressive a lot of the time. But you have to be smarter about it. And I think he's going to learn from last year and be better, and they'll be better as a team.
So talking about that division here, no surprise, the AFC West tops all divisions with 19 players in your top 100. I mean, like I said, this is no surprise, though.
This is the SEC of the NFL. That's what it is. It's the SEC of the NFL. Every week. Think about it. The Raiders were a playoff team.
Yeah.
They added Devontae Adams. They added a hell of a coach in Josh McDaniels. And on paper, they're probably the 4th team in the division.
Where's Derek Carr on your list?
He's not on the top.
We'll get to that in a minute.
He's not on
keep
top
going. Keep going.
But yeah, so they're the 4th team in the division right now on paper. But would it shock anybody to see the Raiders win the division? No. Would it shock anybody to see any of these teams win a division? No. It's the most competitive division of football. It's the best division of football, and that's why you see in this list there's a ton of stars in this division.
Will, coming in second, AFC North with 16 players, NFC West with 15. But as I told Pete, no surprise here, AFC West with 19 players, the SEC of the NFL.
It just means more in the AFC West. And look, let's not forget that, a lot of the players that are on the list, Russell Wilson, Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, Devontae Adams, right? These are players who were not in the AFC West 6 months ago or 8 months ago. These are players who have been traded, who have been acquired. Like, this was the craziest offseason in NFL history in terms of transactions and all the things that went on with these players swapping teams. And so many of them it was like this dude just kept going to the AFC West. Like, all right, Russell Wilson's been traded. What now? Oh, Devontae Adams to the Raiders? Okay. And then the Chargers add up. Tyreek Hill is out, of course, so that's one guy that you lose from the list. But by and large, I mean, it was already a loaded division in the first place. And then they added 4 to 5 guys on Pete's top 100 list this offseason inside the division, and that's what's going to make it so difficult. I do agree with Pete that it wouldn't shock me if the Raiders, won the division. I would be surprised, but it wouldn't shock me. Certainly, if the Chargers won, it wouldn't be a big surprise at all. I still think the Chiefs will find a way to win and think they're good value at plus 160, but it is a wide open division. Derek Carr is probably the single greatest of all time, worst quarterback in his division, which is a weird thing to think about, but probably accurate.
Was it single greatest of all time, worst quarterback in this division?
In other words, he's saying as the worst quarterback in this division, he's the best worst quarterback of any division, which is probably pretty accurate. But they're all Chiefs chasing. And that's what the whole AFC did. If you look at the way these moves are made this offseason, everybody, including the Buffalo Bills, they go get Von Miller. The year before, they drafted Russo and Boogie Basham to go get Patrick Mahomes on the ground in key situations. You look at what the Chargers did by getting Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson just to stop Patrick Mahomes in that passing game. Russell Wilson to kind of keep up with him. Everybody is Chiefs chasing in the AFC, and that's why this division has gotten so good and so competitive.
The first NFC West division we saw with the most players was the NFC West there with 15 there. Let's talk about the 49ers because according to you, they have 6 players in the top 100. That is more than the Rams. They're going with Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Fred Warner, Eric Armstead. Of course, contract situations around Deebo Samuel, but 49ers with more players than the Rams.
And a great coach. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's an outstanding coach. He gets everything out of his players. The whole thing is Trey Lance. If Trey Lance is the real deal, what they think he was going to be and become when they drafted him, traded up to draft him at number 3, then they're going to be a playoff team and a deep playoff team. If he struggles a little bit, then they're going to have problems and they're going to have people wanting Jimmy Garoppolo back, if you can believe that. So I think this is one of those situations where it's all on the young quarterback because this is a good roster with a great coach. And not only these stars, there's a lot of good players around them as well. This is a well-built team. John Lynch has done a great job, but it's all on that quarterback.
Will, you agree with that? It's all on Trey Lance right now?
Yeah. I mean, if you told me that if Trey Lance was what everybody who drafted in fantasy football last year, if he is what we expected him to be this coming season, then the Niners deserve where they are in terms of their Super Bowl odds. They're like the 5th or 6th team in terms of Super Bowl odds. Trey Lance's upside is through the roof. If he's not ready and he's not capable of operating that Kyle Shanahan offense and of minimizing mistakes, then the 49ers are a significant drop below the Rams in terms of, in terms of what they'll do in that division. And I do think it's interesting, like we talk about the 49ers having more players than the Rams, but the Rams, like we said earlier, have those core 4. The 49ers just have a bunch of good football players on both sides of the ball. And look, like if you put Matthew Stafford on the 49ers, they might be the favorite to win the Super Bowl because you would feel confident in what you have at the quarterback position. But we don't know. The 49ers can't know. Nobody can know until we actually get to the season if Trey Lance is going to be that guy. I like to think he will be, but you can't be confident.
If Tart held on to the pick in the championship game, they might have been the champs last year with Jimmy Garoppolo.
True.
I mean, Brinson hates hearing that because he's on the, Matt Stafford
I had a
Hall of Fame
Bengals
train.
49ers to make it to the Super Bowl bet at 85-1. I wanted him to catch the damn ball.
Let's talk about the teams with no players in your top 100. You have 6 of them. They are the Giants, the Jets, the Texans, the Jags, the Lions, and the Patriots. Last year, you had 1 player from the Patriots. It was Stephon Gilmore in the top 100. And this year, 0.
And this is a product of bad drafting. That's what this is. And look, we give Belichick
One draft in particular?
2019. It was terrible. I mean, that's one that stands out. And I thought it was actually a good draft when they drafted him. So what do I know? I'm the same as Belichick, I guess. Two football geniuses. We missed on 2019, but they missed in a big way. It was a terrible draft all the way around. They got one player. Najee Harris came out of that draft, so there's one player. But when you look at Damon Harris, when you look at this roster, there's not a lot of talent. There's just not a lot of talent across the board. Mac Judon, who they signed as a free agent, good pass rusher, but leveled off the last 7, 8 games of the season. Didn't play that well. They don't have a lot of talent. If this team, with Mac Jones in his second year, and this roster gets to the postseason, it will be one of Bill Belichick's greatest coaching jobs.
Will, do they do it with this roster?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy. Because the AFC, as we've covered with the AFC West, even if they beat each other up, they're still loaded. And by the way, that 2019 draft, there's nothing more annoying to me than the fact that they took N'Keal Harry with Deebo Samuel sitting right there. I mean, you can talk about A.J. Brown, you can talk about all the other receivers in that class, but like Deebo Samuel is the perfect Patriots player, and they took N'Keal Harry over him. Drives me nuts. Anyway, I digress. If Mac Jones makes a big leap forward, yeah, they can make a playoff run. But you start to look around the AFC, and you realize that the Ravens are going to bounce back. The Browns are a big wild card with the Deshaun Watson situation lingering. If Pittsburgh gets good quarterback play, they're going to be in the mix. The Bengals just went to the Super Bowl, so that division is going to be really difficult, right? We have 4 playoff caliber teams in the AFC West as well. In the AFC South, the Titans and the Colts are probably right there in the mix. And I wouldn't be surprised if Trevor Lawrence has a big second year. And so for the Patriots, not only do you have to try to overcome the Bills, which is going to be really difficult to do, you might have to overcome a Dolphins team that's improved dramatically this offseason. And then you have to hope that 1 or 2 of those really high caliber teams from the other division slip so you can steal a wild card if you can't win that division. So yes, they can make a run. Will it be easy? Absolutely not.
Guys, hang on just a second. I have a little treat for you here in 1 second, but let's take a look at Super Bowl odds. We're going to throw that up really quickly. Bills right there at the very top. Talk about the Patriots having to deal with them. Not easy. There are your 49ers, Will Brinson, 15-1 odds behind the Bucks, the Chiefs, the Packers, and the Rams. I am happy to say we've been able to reach the one and only Ryan Wilson. You cannot see him because that is his view. His view RN, he's cool. He can shorten that up. That's his computer. He has no power peak.
Wow. He's just, you know what, I really think he's hiding after making so many bad statements.
Didn't you say it was like the worst take you've
heard? It was
heard
the worst take we've ever had on any program on HQ since I've been here.
And that caused Ryan to go dark.
He's hiding. Ryan's hiding.
Will?
I agree. I think that Ryan also threatened to take Tom Brady out of the top 10. So yeah, I think absolutely Ryan. So what happened is
he just turned off the lights, but he still yeah. Go ahead.
Somebody at the power company watches CBS Sports HQ, and they said enough is enough, Mr. Wilson, and slammed the breaker. And Wilson ain't gonna have power for the next 6 weeks until he cleans up his act and he gets his takes together.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.